Hey students, welcome back to my channel. Before starting with the video, there are few things I would like to make clear. First thing, if you're not subscribed, it's totally fine. Watch the video if you understand the concept, then make sure you hit that subscribe and like button. I think that's fair. Second thing, if you have any doubts, please feel free to ask them in the comment section below. I will reply as soon as possible. And finally, I will make the concept so easy to understand that you don't have to worry about your exams. Alright, so now let's start with the topic. So today we will be learning about the types of attributes and examples of different types of attributes. Students, I have already given the introduction of whole ER model in my previous video where I discussed the concept of attributes also. You can watch that video for better understanding. I will provide its link in the description box. Alright, so let's get started. So there are different types of attributes that occur in the ER model, which includes simple versus composite, single valued versus multivalued, stored versus derived, and the complex attributes. Now firstly we look at the simple versus composite attributes. So composite attributes are the attributes that can further be divided into subparts, which further can represent some basic attributes, whereas simple attributes are the attributes that cannot be divided any further. And simple attributes are also called as the atomic attributes. Now let's look at the example. Here we can see an employee entity. So here an attribute like address of an entity, employee, and name of an employee. Right? So these are the examples of composite attributes because address can further be divided into subparts like house number, street, city, right? And name can also be further divided into subparts as first name, middle name, and last name. Whereas, if we talk about the gender attribute of an entity employee, let's say the name of an employee is A and his gender is male. Now you cannot divide his gender any further, right? You cannot divide his gender any further. So this is why gender is the simple attribute, right? Now we are done with the simple versus composite attributes. Next is the single valued versus multivalued attributes. So single valued attributes are the attributes that can have only one value at a time. For example, let's say registration number or roll number of an entity student, because there is only one roll number or registration number of any particular student. Any single student or one student cannot have more than one roll number or registration number, right? So this is an example of the single valued attribute because it can have only one value at a time. Whereas if we talk about the multivalued attributes, these are those attributes that can have multiple values at the same time, right? For example, the contact number or address of a student, because a student can have more than one contact number also. And if we talk about the address can also be multivalued as permanent address or present address, right? So this is about the single versus multivalued attributes. Now we look at the stored versus derived attributes. See, there are some attribute values which can directly be retrieved from the database, whereas on the other hand, some attribute values must be derived from other stored attribute values. So the attribute values are already stored in the database and can directly be retrieved are called as stored attributes, and some attribute values that can be derived from related attributes are called as the derived attributes. So now look at the example to understand it. Let's say we have two attributes, that is the date of birth and age of a student. Now these two are the related attributes. So when date of birth attribute's value is stored in the database, it can directly be retrieved and hence called stored attribute. But even when the value of age attribute is not stored, right? Even when the age attribute is not stored, we can still derive the value of the age from the related attribute, that is the date of birth and current date. So this is called the derived attribute because although the value is not stored in the database, but it can be derived from the related attributes. Alright. Now look at the complex attributes. So complex attributes is another type of attribute in database. It is very rare in database because we rarely use it. But students, we have to study it. So in complex attributes, what do? We nest some multivalued attributes and some composite attributes. That is, it's a combination of some multivalued attributes and some composite attributes to form a single attribute. For example, this is a complex attribute in which we have combined phone number and address, where phone number may be multivalued attribute, that is, it can have multiple values at the same time, and address is composite because it can further be divided into subparts, that is flat number, city, state, right? So by nesting these multivalued and composite attributes, we can form a complex attribute. Alright. So these were the several types of attributes in the ER model. So that's it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any queries, feel free to ask them in the comment section. And if you like the video, please share it with your friends and subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much.